Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the Darkest Timeline podcast. So, just me, but we'll come to that in a second. It'll be the usual stuff, something from the week when it was recorded, games, movies, and TV. That's probably about it, to be fair. So, CookieCast is looking for guests. Do you know someone that has an interesting job or an interesting hobby? Or are you yourself somebody with an interesting job or an interesting hobby? If so, drop us a line, we'll get you on. Or them on. Or you get it. Anyway. So, we're looking for guests. So yeah, keep that in mind. So here we go. This is CookieCast, the Darkest Timeline podcast. Right then, here we go. It is not the usual Monday night putting off of things. But it's later than we'd like. Let's put it that way. That's just circumstance. At time of recording, it is, I'm pretty sure you can say it's like 4 days till Christmas. Just I'm responding to messages. Incredibly rude. Incredibly rude. Right, let's find a list. What's on the list? Nothing. Not a huge amount. Obviously I could spend X amount of time talking about what an absolute shit show things are country-wise. But I'm not going to, because I gave up talking about that a long time ago. Couple of bits, nothing major. Don't think it'll take long to get through those. I've actually watched some TV. Yeah, TV. Some films, nothing new, I'm afraid. So if you're looking for a new fixture, you come to the wrong place. Let's face it. And some game stuff. If any of that comes as a surprise, I mean, you know, there's been over 80 episodes of this. Episodes? Yeah, let's go with episodes. And the format is largely the same. So, I'm drinking a glass of water because the coffee that I've got to drink is too warm, and I would have had a coffee sooner. A little bit late for a coffee maybe, but I am flagging. I honestly feel like a little bit like I've been hit by a train. I think I'm stressed out. Ooh. Speaking of out, I nearly pulled all my hair out. I think I'm stressed out. I've got a million jobs to do. I've got a short space of time to do those jobs. And I mean, yeah, you can imagine what the knock-on effect there is. Like tomorrow, 2 podcasts, but I also need to go and see Edward. Sorry, I'm just tying my hair back. All jobs that should have been done previous to this, but you know. There. And he's going to see Edward, socially distanced, of course. But I need to drop something at his for Mr. Panas. So I'll have to leave it on the doorstep, ask Ed if he can hold on to it until Mr. Panas passes on his way to work. Very complex, very difficult to conduct business. It's not business at all. It's it's that time of year, isn't it? The time for giving, as I believe the song says. Right, sod it. Let's just get going, because I know I'm dilly-dallying, I'm dawdling, because I know that there's not a massive amount to discuss. I think I'm getting old. There's been a lot going on recently where I'm like, I think I might be old. I think I might be getting old. I've had a few meetings at the work last couple of weeks where there's this phenomenon has started, and I don't believe it's started. I believe that I'm just noticing it more, and I think I'm noticing it more because I'm possibly getting old. I think it's an old thing. So here's what I'm talking about, and I'm going to sneeze, so let's get that out of the way first. There she is. Oh, look at the size of those lines. That's what it doesn't matter. Oh wow. So what I'm talking about is swearing. I swear like a trooper. I use swearing as punctuation when I'm talking. Short version is, I swear a lot. So there we go. That's that. That's out there. I've said it. Anybody that knows me knows everything that I just said is true and or accurate. Started to notice, like, I've been going to meetings, and a couple of people who shall remain nameless because you know them, in a couple of meetings with the same couple of people, and they were talking, and talk, swear word, and I'm like, how necessary was that swear word? Bit more talking, another swear word. I'm like, again, so the swear word felt unnecessary. And carried on, more swearing, and I'm like, I really don't feel that this is the appropriate language that we should be using in our meetings. Didn't say that. At one point, I nearly did say, I'll tell you something, I'm going to get you a lot of swear jar because my word. And that was the point where I was like, what is happening right now? The realisation that I have in some way become offended by swearing. And I swear a lot. And immediately my go-to is, I mean, you're just getting old, aren't you? It's an age thing. I'll be telling people to turn the music down before long. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. I was blasting some tunes today. Went to take the baby to the old nursery. Driving back, cranked that puppy up. And it was some thumping tunes as well. RTJ. So yeah, there's a lot of age stuff going on at the moment. I keep coming back to this, and it's getting worse, man. This sense of my own mortality, it's proper freaking me out these days. Like, just that thought of, well, what happens when you die? And I know that's probably, an age-old question. Everybody asks that from an early age. I remember thinking that when I was little. But now I'm like, does it just all stop? I'm thinking about it a lot. It reminds me, every time I think about it, it reminds me of the episode of Red Dwarf, where Crichton's explaining about silicon heaven and then explains why religion was created for humans. I'll leave that there. Yeah, it's a lot of age stuff at the moment, and I'm trying to get away from it. I'm trying to exercise, keep going, get the weight down, things like that. But yeah, a lot of age stuff. Let's have a look. Speaking of exercising, I have been struggling. I think the way certain things work is like you build stuff up. So like saying so it must have been last week I was saying it about the week before, saying like how like with not eating and stuff, how I was like struggling. And that has been very evident. Excuse me, like a coffee. That has been very evident in the last week. And I presume that because of not eating, like the energy levels just weren't there. I was really, really struggling to work out, struggling to run, struggling to have the sort of the energy and the inclination to do these things, which is difficult when they are in a lot of ways naturally things that you probably don't want to do. We all know my feelings on running. Working out not so much, but I still get it with working out when working out becomes really difficult, as it has been recently. There've been a few points where I've been a little bit like, well, I mean, if I can't do it, what's the point? And you do get through it, you get through the workout, you come out the other side alive, sometimes barely, but hey. But yeah, I've been struggling. I don't know whether it's a mental thing or if it is just things like an amount of time of not eating has a knock-on effect. I did say, the last week I've been attempting to eat a bit more. I will admit, with the time of year, it's probably gone a little bit the other way. There's been a few less vegetables and a few more. What I wanted to say was, a few more bad meals. That's not actually true. I've been eating more crisp breads. So I imagine, calorie wise, between like a massive bowl of vegetables and a few crisp breads, I don't know what the calorie difference would be. Obviously with crisp breads it is what you put on them. So corn, cream cheese, cucumber, not hugely calorific items, but you do notice an energy difference, and this could be it again. Maybe it's the content and quality of the food that's going in. I've been saying about like the Christmas time. You've got those couple of weeks where there's a few too many goodies about and things like that. I had a conversation with Leanne yesterday. She was talking about getting pastries for Christmas Day breakfast, and I was like, why? Well, that's what we do. That's what we do at Christmas. It's like, why? Well, she was basically saying it was like tradition, and I was saying, my only focus at that point in time is keeping the calories down. I am very much all about, let's eat the Christmas meal, let's eat the Christmas dinner. That's if we can get any shopping at this point in time. But that's an aside. Let's eat the meal, eat the dinner. Outside of that, that might be my only meal. It's Friday, today's Monday. I'm already, I'm like, well, I'll be going for a run in the morning. Should probably make sure it's a longer run. It's Friday, so I'll be working out in the evening. And if I can just target that one meal, we all talk about Christmas dinner being your entire day's worth of calories in one meal. Well, okay. There we go. Problem solved, job done. So I am looking at areas where I can trim the fat, some might say, whilst actually trying to trim actual, it's not necessarily fat, but it's calories. So yeah, that's some of the stuff that's going on. Something I didn't write down on the list, something that I did want to speak about. I had this thing today where I was talking to somebody about some podcast related business, and I was saying, like, next year I want to sort of get a few more guests, like track down people of interest. And I don't mean like, people of interest to the FBI. I mean like, interesting people who have done things or got interesting lives or got interesting jobs. Heads up if you know anybody or you are one of those people, give me a shout, drop me an email or something, or get me on the socials. So I'm on the hunt for guests. For a while now, there is a particular guest that I would like to get, and it's like I need to initiate a conversation with a particular person to find out if I can get a particular guest. But I have that whole, I need to start that conversation, and felt like I couldn't to some degree. And I was talking to somebody else saying, I need to have this conversation with this person, but I don't feel like I can initiate that conversation. Literally 10 minutes later, I was like, you know what? Seize the day, die by the sword, all of those things. Put my big boy pants on, have the conversation. I was like, talk about getting this guest on. And so far have had what could be seen as a positive outcome. Now obviously a lot of that's quite cryptic because I don't want to ruin it, because this is somebody that I consider that is going to be quite an interesting guest to get on. I consider it to be quite a big thing for the podcast, and certainly, like I say, a direction I want to move in next year. So keep tuned for that. I was just more talking about strapping on the big boy pants and getting it done. So I watched some TV now, straight off the bat, so that we're not under any illusions or any of that. I am going to look this up now. I can tell. Look at that, number one on the list. So here's the thing. All I want to do is double check the episodes. So I think I watched 5, 6, 7, 8. But what is that? Yeah. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I'd already watched that. Right, so here we go. I watched episode 5, 6, 7, 8 of season 2 of The Mandalorian. Now, I'm going to make a statement now. If you don't agree with this statement, this would be the time to fast forward. I'm going to try and keep a lot of it spoiler free, but if you haven't seen the episodes, So you know by now. So this is kind of a spoiler, kind of a disclaimer to start things moving. So here we go. I've said it before, I'm gonna say it again. I personally think that The Mandalorian is hands down the best thing that has the Star Wars name attached to it outside of the games. Since the original trilogy, and when I say the original trilogy, I do mean the unaltered original trilogy. It's really good. In my opinion, I know a lot of people disagree with that. In my opinion, it's really good. Doesn't hurt anything that there's been characters from the wider universe brought either into it or back into it. That's all I'll say about that. And it doesn't hurt that it has one of my favourite comedians who has been in a role and may or may not reprise that role at another point in time. And that's all I'll say about that. Series 2 is very much a series where it starts out and you're like, this is what we're doing, is it? Every episode's going to be this. But it's very much the back end of the series. Bear in mind it's only 8 episodes. The back end of the series is like, that's the sweet spot. That's the money. Like I say, going to try and keep it spoiler free. However, they got somebody who I really like as an actress, although you can't say actress these days, it's as an actor, a female actor. They got somebody I really like to play a character that's very well known in the Star Wars mythology, and those two things put together, amazing choices, very well done. That is an episode that I'm discussing. I think by now everybody knows that there is a particular character that's returning to the Star Wars story. I wasn't sure how I felt about that. Now that I've seen it and witnessed it and all that sort of stuff, I was like, yeah, I'm fine with it. There was an episode that potentially had a person in that I'm a big fan of, and then the big one being the last episode of the second series. It's awesome. If you've heard anything about it, people are probably playing it down somewhat because of, weird to say, but because of how good it is. It's just very good, very well done. Disney being Disney being Marvel, a certain technology that they own, which allows them to take people and do things to those people. I'll leave that there. I can't say too much. Thoroughly enjoyable series. Just, yeah, a lot of fun. Very good. I do wonder where they're going to go with Series 3. I can see here that there is a Series 3 listed. Everything's listed 2021. There's currently 4 episodes listed. And I am aware that there is I don't know, like a spin-off series. It's just very good is the short version. It's one of those Not only is it difficult to review something that is good, as we know, it is difficult to review something that is good and something you can't really talk about. Probably best to leave it there, unfortunately. Let me know when you've watched it and we can talk about it then. How's that? I have watched an entire series of films, a Christmas movie, and that one's hard to explain. 2 films of a series, I guess, that is of a bigger story. I don't know. So I watched all of the Resident Evil films. This is something that I do every now and then. I remember the first Resident Evil very well. I was a big fan of that film when it came out. It had some very enjoyable things, some very enjoyable like CG things. I think we all, anybody who's seen it or whatever, will always remember the laser grid scene. It's very good. It's done very well, and so on and so forth. As a film, it's it was good for its time. It's pretty good. The second one, I saw the thing on, because they're all on Prime at the moment. So the next one, the blurb said the sequel to the $100 million Resident Evil. And the more those films go on, the more I wonder how they get made. They get a bit... I want to say they get a bit far-fetched, but they're films based on computer games about zombies. I mean, the first computer game was people in a house, ultimately, solving puzzles. And yeah, there was the odd zombie. Chocolate orange coffee. Yummy. Little bit. It's a little bit of the wrong ratio. Too much orange and not enough chocolate. But there's worse things in life. So yeah, you've got the first one. First one's probably in the realms of being classed as a classic, I guess. Then you've got the second one. The second one introduces like a series, an additional series of characters. Some of those characters, one of those characters, is in the last one. I think I'm making a lot of this up. The only question that I had through watching all of these films was, how do they keep making these films? And then I'd watched them all and was like, I guess that's kind of how they keep making them, because I've sat down and watched all of them, and it's not the first time, although it was only the second time I'd seen the last one. And having watched the last one again, I was a bit like, yeah, I can see why. I think the last one could very well be the weakest of the bunch. There was the one, and this shows, there was the one that was 3D, and I owned it in 3D. I think they abandoned that, because the next one was like, the blurb was the sequel to the 3D Resident Evil. Some very 3D elements in that film, which I think it's that thing, isn't it, that when a film isn't 3D, the stuff that's supposed to be 3D really stands out. But yeah, I wasn't sure, like by the end of it, I wasn't sure how I felt about the entire process. I think I just felt quite conflicted. I was like, how do they keep making these films? I mean, I'm watching them, but how do they keep making? I think it was that. It was that sort of like vicious cycle. Because there's that part of me that wants to say they're bad films, but aspects of them are bad. Other aspects, not so much. They really do strike me as like a superhero element to them, because like main characters die left, right and centre, and then 2 minutes later they're back in it. So I thought you were dead. Oh well, yeah, but this thing happened and now I'm not dead. All right, we just believe that. Yeah, let's move on. All right then. So yeah, it was an experience. I don't know if enjoyable is the right word, but it was an experience. Yeah, like I said, I feel very conflicted. Is the short version. Yeah, watched a Christmas film, but as I'm sure you would imagine, not the most traditional of Christmas films, although absolute classic Christmas film. I watched Scrooged. That is a great film. Here's something. That film started and the music started, and I was like, "This is a Tim Burton movie." Like the way that film started, the music, like the intro, everything. I was like, "This reeks of Tim Burton." Then after a while, I was like, "But I would know that it was a Tim Burton film." You know, like, you can pretty much name all the Tim Burton movies because you just know what they are. So after a while I was like, that would tell me that it isn't. So then who is it? So I looked it up, as you do. Richard Donner, which I was very surprised. A, that I didn't know it. And B, like, didn't he do Superman? Very different films. Absolute, in the words of Sam, absolute stone cold classic. That movie is, it's great. Some very interesting actors. I read loads of stuff about it because when I was looking it up I was like, well, I'll read some stuff about it. Richard Donner and Bill Murray didn't get on. It was the first film Bill Murray had done after Ghostbusters 2 maybe, or after Ghostbusters. But he was living in Paris and trying to decide whether he was going to give up acting. Turned down a load of other roles, big films, to do it. But yeah. Richard Donner and Bill Murray did not get on in the making of that film. Bobcat Goldthwait's in it, back when he was still doing the voice. It's just an absolute monster of a film. I was watching it. I was really getting into it, and I was saying to Leanne, I was like, "Do you suppose Scrooge is the ultimate Christmas film? Because it feels like Christmas." I was like, Christmas isn't like those other Christmas movies where it's like, you know, the Christmas love story. Christmas isn't like that. Christmas is just pretty much a shit show start to finish. You know, you panic you haven't got enough presents, you panic you haven't bought enough for enough people, you panic that, like, I'm gonna wrap some presents in a bit, and I'm like, you can guarantee that once I've wrapped those presents, I'll be like, I haven't bought enough. As a concept, that's not amazing. Then you've got family or other people's family, or you got, back when the world was normal, you've got various different parties. There's just a lot of going on and a lot of stress, and I think that's something that comes through in that film quite extensively, is stress. Bill Murray's character is incredibly stressed through, everybody outside of what's going on with him just sees that he is overworked, he's overstressed. They don't know what's going on with him. But it could be seen, it's no great leap to presume that he is stressed out. And I just had this overwhelming sort of sense that maybe it has correctly captured the feeling of Christmas in the fact that it's just super stressful. And it shouldn't be. It should be enjoyable. Delightful. I watched Scrooge and it was good. I enjoyed it. I watched Spider-Man. Which Spider-Man, I hear you ask? I watched the more recent ones. Now then, Homecoming and Far From Home. Here's the thing, I'm going to make a confession right now. There was always something about that first Spider-Man, that Homecoming. I couldn't put my finger on it. And there was always something that I didn't like about it, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And I feel like now that I've realised what it is, I can finally open up and admit that I spent all this time and I was like, I don't think I like this film, but I can't tell you why. Watching it this time, I can now tell you why, and it's going to sound strange, but I'm just going to have to explain it as best I can. It's too long, and I bet you that it's probably in the 2-hour region. Now, these days, that isn't too long. If you look at like some of the Avengers films in your 3-hour sort of region, a 2-hour movie's not too long. But that's not the problem. The problem is, what it felt like was I put that film on in the morning and I was still watching it in the afternoon. Now obviously you could say, well, did you put it on at 11:59 and you were watching it at 2 o'clock? No, it felt like I put it on at 10 o'clock in the morning and I was still watching it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's what it felt like. And I think that was the issue that I'd always had with it. And I thought it was because I didn't like it, but I didn't feel like I could say that out loud, sort of thing. But that wasn't it. That's not what it ended up being. What it's ended up being is a realisation that it just feels so long. And that probably sounds quite negative, and weirdly, I don't mean it in a negative sense. I think what it is that there's maybe too much going on. There's maybe too much happening. And maybe it's a situation where they've crammed so much into it that it feels longer than it is. And maybe that's the problem. I'm playing bits of it through in my head as I'm talking. And I'm like, it feels like 4 different films in one. Here's something else. Michael Keaton. Speaking of Tim Burton, you've got to ignore the fact that Michael Keaton was Batman for 2 films, which is a bit weird. But on the flip side, Michael Keaton plays that part really well. Like he plays, he's the Vulture, and he plays him really well. Because there's a lot less of the evil supervillain. That is almost non-existent. Other than, the wings. But the wings and stuff, to him, are just a tool to get the job done. Admittedly, the job is, stealing technology from... well, it's Tony Stark, I guess. But that side of it really is a means to an end. And I think that's the element that I really like about it. Because he just spends the whole film talking about the fact that he's doing it for his family. Obviously, there's the aspect that that is a twist. I realise at this point in time I should have probably said that there are spoilers involved. Just realise that probably not. There's a possibility that not everybody's seen this film. So here's the thing, it's not a bad film. And I'm not saying like, oh, it's too long. It's not too long like Bad Boys 2 is too long. It's not that. It's just, I think there is just so much stuff crammed into that film that it ends up feeling like too much. So there's that. Then I watched the second one, which is Far From Home. Now, I have an issue with Far From Home because it's set in multiple different countries, and we keep coming back to, in this story, in this incarnation of Spider-Man, we keep coming back to Friendly Neighborhood Spider, based in New York. So, and I get that it's tackled in the film as a, can't be Spider-Man in a different country. But should he be Spider-Man in a different country? Should we be doing that story? Could they not have done all the stuff that they did in that film in New York? Was there something stopping that? Or is it just a cultural thing? I know a lot of films do a lot of moving around. I'd only seen it once before. So it was good to watch it again. I do feel that it's possibly the better of the 2 films. Especially having watched it again because I enjoyed it quite a lot. There's a lot of elements that I quite like about that film. One of them being is the Jake Gyllenhaal side of it. He's very good in that role. Again, probably won't spoil anything there because spoilers and all that. I'll just leave that there. So yeah, I feel that there's a possibility the second one's the better of the 2. And yeah, I just found it to be very enjoyable. Do wonder, I know that they're doing this third one and they keep talking about all the returning characters. It's become a bit of an internet meme type thing where people just keep posting stuff about people who are going to return for Spider-Man 3. The one I saw the other day was Joey Diaz and all of the train passengers from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 are said to be returning for Spider-Man 3. That is hilarious. But yeah, they've got the last two Spider-Men, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, are going to return. How do I say this tactfully? Has anybody seen Tobey Maguire since Spider-Man 3? I can't imagine. I'm gonna have to look it up. I can't imagine what Tobey Maguire looks like now. Every time he gets mentioned, I wonder if he now looks like the character he played in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Toby, no, that's not how you spell Toby, dickhead. Toby, I mean, it doesn't even come up. Nope. Jesus. Oh, is it that? Oh, man. Why can't I spell? I think it's that. Maybe he's been removed. Oh, because I've spelled his name wrong. Anybody surprised that I spelled Toby wrong? Right, where is the film? No. Ah, here we go. See all. Ooh. Okay, you know things are bad when the last mention is 3 years ago, and it was a voice in something. Before that, it was another 3 years before that. Ooh. The next big one, like there's a few TV episodes of stuff. Again, the next big one before that, it's another only a year. Great Gatsby. Tropic Thunder. And then I'm shocked by the Tropic Thunder thing. And then, no surprises, 2007, Spider-Man 3. He did the voice of Peter Parker Spider-Man in the 2007 Spider-Man 3 video game. So I think we can fairly safely say not a massive amount in 13 years. How recent do we suppose that picture is? Because, I mean, he looks well enough there, but how old is that picture? Videos, images, see all. This must be absolutely enthralling to listen to. Yeah, almost all of those pictures there are donkey's years old. So, yeah, I think we'll abandon the Sozo. So yeah, a lot of people returning for this next one, but I do wonder how they're going to go. I know that after Into the Spider-Verse, they're going to lean on that. I know that there's mention of Doctor Strange and various other characters. And then there's all of these people that are said to be returning. I saw that Alfred Molina is supposed to be returning as Doc Ock. Some very interesting choices going on. Will certainly be interesting to see what they make of all this Spider-Verse stuff. So yeah. I watched the Spider-Man films. We talk computer games. Let's talk some VR. I'm playing Stormland. Might have mentioned it. Did I mention that I tried it and then I hadn't gone back to it, but then I was saying I was going to go back to it. I have gone back to it, and I'm finding it very enjoyable at the moment. As with all games, that is subject to change. Admittedly, I have just reached a point where I've got a big boss to beat, and I had to turn it off abruptly. And my fear is that the game won't have saved me at the save point where the big boss was. It will have saved me at like the beginning of the level, which will be insanely infuriating. But we will find out. Really, really good game so far. Touch wood. I'm going to touch some wood because I don't want this one to turn on me. Interesting in story, interesting engaging. Good use of VR tools. The climbing aspect's very good. The different robotic arms you've got, weapons, shooting. You've got a shield. There's an interesting movement system where you like speed across. I thought it was water, but it turns out it's clouds. But you can like just speed across them and you can get like boosts and stuff. That's super cool. One thing I will say is it is a game that a couple of points has actually made me feel a little bit sick. I think at one point it was because I had the headset on a little bit wrong and it was putting a bit of pressure on like around my eye. So I don't know if that was necessarily the game itself. And I think the other one was I had to do like a lot of climbing. I think some way that not quite winded myself. I'm not that out of shape. But something similar to that. Absolutely worth the money I paid for it because I got it for half price in a sale. Do love a good sale, especially VR sales are always great. So I've been up to this point, and again, touching wood, up to this point I've been thoroughly enjoying that. I've been getting right into it. I keep dipping back into Boneworks' arena mode, but I do feel that it's time to keep moving on. I've got a big pile of VR games that I haven't played at this point in time, and that's no good. So we're going to finish Stormland. I'm going to move on. On Friday, which is Christmas, I will be able to start playing Half-Life Alyx because there was a situation where that went on sale, so I had it bought as a Christmas present, so I have kept it, but I will be able to play it as of Friday. I did also I personally bought the DLC to go with it, so looking forward to that, but I'm also very apprehensive. I've seen a lot of stuff that talks about how scary it is, so we'll have to see what that sort of goes like. I also saw a lot of stuff about how it's kind of ripped off a lot of stuff from Boneworks, and how Boneworks is actually a secret Half-Life game. But yeah, we'll see what that's like. I'm sure I'll be updating people about that. Clearly a theme, because the console game I've been playing recently is the Spider-Man game. Interesting note: Stormland and the Spider-Man PS4 game made by the same company, Insomniac Games, or released or published, however you want to say it. I've been playing Spider-Man largely for something to play. It's a game that I've tried to go back to a few times, but some of the bigger issues that I have with that game really once you've played it once or twice, they really are game killers. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The MJ and Miles Morales sections of that game are truly awful, and they really do kill the flow of that game. Ironically, one of the reasons I've been playing it is because I've been watching some stuff for the Miles Morales game, which does look like a lot of fun. I'd quite like to have a go on that. But I think the last I saw, you could get, irony being, you could get a PS5 version of it for, I think it was £48. If you want a PS4 version, it was £64, because it was showing as, like on Amazon, it was showing as mostly being out of stock. So obviously people are trying to capitalise. Nothing compared to the CD that I saw recently. CD that I've been trying to get hold of, that's been out of stock for quite a while. I found somewhere that was selling it. I wanted £200 for it. It's like, what? Really? So yeah. I have reached the end of the story, which has put me in a position where I've actually been putting off finishing Spider-Man. I'm thinking what I might actually do is finish it maybe tonight. It's 10 to 10 at this point and I've got stuff to do. So it might not happen. I would have liked to have played Stormland as well. That might also be going out the window at this point in time, looking at the big pile of stuff I've got to wrap. But we shall see. It might be just a job for tomorrow, but I've got a lot of stuff on tomorrow as well. Reason that I'm saying I might just get it finished up is I quite fancy going back to Ghost of Tsushima, because there seems to have been a lot of updates for that game. You almost never hear me say this phrase, but there's a multiplayer I actually fancy checking out. So yeah, I might just get Spider-Man finished up and then maybe install Ghost of Tsushima. But like I say, busy boy over the next few days, and then it is indeed going to be Christmas. Who knows what that'll bring? Other than we do know Half-Life Alyx is going to be on the cards. So there's that. Water. That, as they say in the business, is that. Thank you very much. And at this point in time, I will speak to you after Christmas now. So there. And what will then be mere days away from 2021. Whew, sounds like the future. Right, thank you very much. So there you go. What do you think to that? Another one done. Where does all of the podcast time go? Who knows? If you're watching us on YouTube or listening to us on YouTube, however you're doing it, do click the subscribe button. It's a big help to the channel, and that helps everybody further down the line. We've got our other formats. If you're a listener, iTunes and SoundCloud. So check those out if you're more for the listening. So yeah, that's it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then. Bye.